It's time for Mike Erie's show. He's ripping off Cullinane. He wants to find some fans to talk to, 'cause he's lonely on Saturdays. Mike was told to come up with something, and I guess this is what he did. We should give him some points for trying. Kirk wants to know what the point of this is. Just a warning for all you guys. You'll never get this hour back in your life. This is Mike and the Minifans. Mike is talking with you. This is Mike and the Minifans. Mike is talking with you. This is Mike and the Minifans. This is Mike and the Minifans. Mike is talking with you.
Hello, everybody. Here on the ever-dwindling Mike and the Minifans. Back with you for what should be a regular week this thing. I maybe hitting my groove again. I don't know. We'll see. I'm feeling good, finally. We got a great lineup for you, but we're going through, we'll get to this too at some point. We're going through a weird thing with the format, where tonight we'll only do an hour. If we go a little more, we go a little more. But I don't know. Do people like the 2 hours? Do they want us to switch the format and keep it 2 hours? We'll talk about it. But I don't know. We're shaking things up and trying different things, I guess, here on Mike and the Minifans. But first, before we get to the boys, let me tell you about my friends at Peak Image Medspa. PeakImageMedspa.com. Listen, you've got us doing the Life Loser Challenge, and we're all working to lose weight. But a lot of people just want to lose a little bit of that neck fat. And the thing is, you can't work out your head. You can't work out your neck. Not as easy to lose that. Like, I might lose a shit ton of weight here, and I might still have this ugliness right under my chin. So what you want to do is you want to go to PeakImageMedspa.com. And they have 2 locations, Boston and Braintree. In Kenmore Square in Boston, at the Split in Braintree. So if you're out there heckling people at Fenway Park, you can stop by Peak Image Med Spa, or if you're out in Braintree, Massachusetts as well. And what they can do for you is a couple quick injections. No surgery needed. That's the nice thing. You don't have to go through a whole fucking thing. Just a couple quick injections. They suck the fat out of you, kill those fat cells. And they've also got a bunch of other procedures you can go through, including Botox and Brotox for you gentlemen. And for you lady Minifans, I heard the lady Minifans saying they don't get treated right. They can go to Peak Image Med Spa as well. Go to PeakImageMedspa.com. Like I said, Kenmore Square in Boston, and at the Split in Braintree. Justin, what's the phone number? Let me read it off here. I don't see well, so you got to read it to me. 781-261-6122. And it's important to note, not only is this place run by Minifans, so you should support them just for that, but they also give Minifans a little deal as well. You save 50 clams if you mention Mike and the Minifans. So let them know Mike and the Minifans sent you, and support other Minifans by going to PeakImageMedspa.com and booking yourself an appointment. Boston and Braintree. All right, bring on the troops here. We've got I consider all of them regulars, even though obviously hasn't been on in this form, but in my mind, these are all true blue Minifans. Menners, Matt from Providence, of course, and the great Obviously. And obviously, I do want to start by telling you one thing. Yes. I met you up in Madawaska. You're a very nice guy. I've spoken to your wife on this program before, and she's lovely. And I think she and I had a nice rapport. So I want to make sure that you know this. If one punchline is the word obviously tonight, I will ensure that your wife leaves you. Do you understand me?
No, that's
I want to make that very clear. Obviously, we get it. Your name is Obviously. I will not stand for it being told as a joke on this program. Is that understood?
Obviously.
Yes.
God damn it.
Yes. I will leave that to Menners and Matt to take care of that.
That's all that I ask. Thank you very much.
But if I knew that's all it would take for her to leave me, I might be saying it about 50 times tonight. So.
Oh, all right.
You dog.
He's got loads of material. This guy.
That's right.
Menners, I feel like this was a big day for you because
Wow.
It was a big Steve day, and quite frankly, I didn't see a lot of Steve criticism online. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like almost a good day for Steve. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I have. I'm just. I don't think it was a great day for Steve because again, he's not going with Kirk's instinct. But I do think there was a little bit of Kirk trying to wind Steve up in this show because he knew it would be good for the show. But yeah, Steve's had another shocker. You really fucked me up in Madawaska, Mike, because your little drunk escapade took a lot of the heat off Steve. And yeah, I'm really not like he fucked up the sound. There was all that fucking around at the beginning of the show trying to get the audio working. And had you not been a blind, drunk idiot, then that would have been the main focus. So I think Steve's got off easy in the last couple of weeks while the focus has been on you. And that's been really upsetting. You know, countless times in the last 2 weeks, Kirk has said, I'll just fire everyone except Steve. I mean, that is like a nightmare scenario for me. I want the opposite. Fire Steve, keep everyone else. And by the way, I tried to lighten up my attitude about Steve this week, and then I got into some DM conversations with quite a number of people who've dealt with him. He's a fucking snake. He's ready to
why do you
lash
say
out.
that? Why do you say that? Steve seems like a nice man.
He seems like a nice man because he's always contrived, lying. The whole thing's a show. You just have to watch those old videos of him where he puts on this character, S.E. Robinson, like this all the time, talking about politics to know he thinks he's got some master plan going with this fucking character, but he looks down his nose at everyone. And honestly, I could not stand hearing him say to you, after Madawaska, oh, Mike, I care about you so much. And then 30 seconds later saying he should be suspended or fired. I mean, go fuck yourself. You don't give a shit about anything apart from yourself.
Menace, do you think this is a character, though? I don't
What?
think Steve's a character. I think he's just this much of a douchebag. Seriously.
He is a douchebag.
Look, we have video evidence of it all the way back to 23 years old. This guy hasn't changed. He's still the same cocky asshole he was.
That's true. That is Steve. Love him or hate him. This is Steve, I believe.
I don't know if it's like, once the cameras or the sound goes on, he just kind of like Kirk, he turns into this different person. But his attitude then is exactly the same as it is now. And it's, I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you, and I don't give a fuck what you have to say.
I agree.
I mean,
obviously, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I would have to agree with what Matt said. He strikes me as the type of person that is certainly in the upper echelon of the smartest person in the room, and he knows that he's the smartest person. That he knows he's the smartest person in the room,
well, no, not always, because he fucked up that one thing that guy in North Dakota. He fucked up every aspect of that little fact that he pulled out.
I give that to him because he misspoke, but he certainly does look down his nose at times, certainly directed at Mike on the show, but above and beyond, but outside of that, he's pretty good at what he does, and I know that's going to bring. I know Menners is going to totally disagree with that statement. But
actually, I was having some construction work done this week, and I thought Steve would be a great builder to build a studio. Yeah. So I agree. He's a good builder. He's good with his hands.
I mean, and I've definitely come around on the fact lately that, Steve's in it for Steve. It's all about the money. I'm fully convinced now that if he gets a better offer, which will be hard to come by, but if he gets an offer somewhere else, I think he's gone. And then we're fucked with Matt Coronado every day.
Well, what's making you? Because I was actually talking about the Kansas thing, but what's making you say that, Matt? Because I haven't noticed that with Steve. Steve's been working hard on the Wilbur. He's working hard on another live show. Like he's been putting in some work. I haven't seen any disloyalty or anything.
Not so much disloyalty. I think as long as the money's there, he's going to do what he needs to do. But I don't think that he loves the content of the show, and I don't get that feeling from him where it's like, this is Kirk's baby. You can tell Kirk is heavily invested in everything that goes on. I think Steve looks at it as a job.
I don't know, because today he seemed in his element. And I would say good on Steve for kind of realizing early on that this could have been a funny argument and they could have it rather than just saying, maybe you're right. If we find a venue, let's do it there. He kind of played it the opposite and said, no, fuck you guys, you're idiots, all that. I think he did very well today, and I think that's being involved in the content of the show, no?
I mean, I thought he was being a big baby today. Kirk could tell that he was uneasy about Coronado, and he fell right into his trap. I mean, if he just kind of backed off early, you guys aren't going on an hour-and-a-half rant on some middle-of-nowhere town. Instead, Kirk could see it was pissing Steve off, and he just kept digging and digging and digging. and he just, he made Steve look like a baby, plain and simple.
I gotta say, I'm glad they didn't listen to me because I said, shouldn't we end? If Kansas is the good one, shouldn't we end with that? And if we did that, we could still be there. Like, it would have taken for fucking ever to get through.
Oh yeah,
through today.
I mean, eventually you guys were like, we need to move on. We need to move on. And yeah, I mean, I felt bad for all those other pitches too because they kind of just got brushed to the side as if some of them were pretty decent.
Yeah, that Geary, Oklahoma one was good. I think it got dismissed because you would assume Geary, it's gonna be pro me, but obviously it was making fun of me, which I think was funny. So I think there were a couple good ones in there, which I'm sure they'll get played eventually. Maybe, I don't know. Did I cut you off, obviously?
Steve just sent a tweet out saying I look homeless. Fuck you, Mr. Robinson. I've seen what you look like.
I like this rivalry. And it's very funny to me because anytime you do the Aussie Minifan show, you have to go through Steve. So I watch you two correspond with each other. Like, hey, Steve, did you get that up? Is there anything I need to... It's very funny to me.
That's just being very professional. I'm not a young Minifan who's going to start sending Steve personal messages, calling him a cocksucker. But I do have his phone number now. I do have his phone number now, so I can send him a message whenever I want.
Will you ever release that, or are you a true pro?
I think it's pretty public, but
that's true. I guess it is already out there. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy to release it. Do you want me to read it out right now? No, I'm just joking.
No. I know you can give the area code 207, I believe. Obviously, what were we going to say? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Steve today was interesting because certainly he came out dead set against Coronado, and then it almost like he was whatever, where he was really pushing Kirk and really challenging him and almost daring him to call it on the spot and say that's where we're going. And so I don't know if that gets back into where he was, part of the content on the show, but he really was putting it out there to kind of putting it out there, daring Kirk.
I did mention that during the show that at a certain point it got to be like, well, now you're just kind of forcing Kirk by saying there's no way he's ever going to go here. You're almost assuring that he will go there.
I mean, Steve's points were definitely valid, though. His points are valid. It's just you got to know that when you start to complain.
I know the joke was that I was wishy-washy and couldn't take a side, but which is often true.
We've lost the host, which is a relief. Finally,
I'll
take over.
There he goes.
Thank God we got rid of Mike finally. So,
realistically, would you go to Coronado if you had to? If you had to go 30 hours to bumfuck Kansas, is that something that you would do if it was possible, Manners?
I don't think so. But I mean, Kirk can make lemonade out of lemon. So I think wherever he decides on, he could make it work. But maybe it's not going to be the best venue. It'd be good for Mike because he won't be tempted by the bottle. That's the only real positive. You won't have drunk Minifans everywhere.
And Matt, would you make that trip?
It would be very hard. I mean, with vacation time and whatnot, the money. I mean, it would probably cost at least $600 in flights to get out there. Never mind a rental car. So that alone, I mean, you're looking at $1,000 weekend. And
I mean, if you're going to go there, come to Australia. It's just as easy to get to Sydney as it is to get to Coronado. And guys, while Mike's not here, I just want to ask you something. I got some messages this week about
kick
Mike
me off my own show.
Oh, he's back.
Did I hear some shit talk about to be started? Go ahead, you sons of bitches.
Okay, I was going to say, Mike, I got some messages this week after the whole fallout with Jerry that you don't challenge Kirk enough. Now, I want to know from your point of view if you think you could challenge Kirk more and where you could challenge him. I know you're not like Jerry, but do you get why some people have this perception that you kind of just go along with Kirk most of the time?
Yes, I do get why people say that because I'm not Jerry. It's not a show where the two people in front of Mike or the three people in front of Mike's argue all the time. But I would say here's the thing with that. My answer is I never lie. I never have an opinion of one way and I switch it to the complete opposite side because Kirk is saying something. Maybe, and we've talked more than enough about my confidence and self-esteem issues on this show, but there might be some of that where maybe sometimes I, without even knowing it, maybe subconsciously just kind of go, oh yeah, where I'm not necessarily 100% on board. I'll have to examine that, but I never lie and I never say I agree with him when I don't. Does that make sense?
Does Kirk piss you off? Is there anything that Kirk does that pisses you off that you hold to yourself?
I mean, not off the top of my head. I don't know. I'm sure there's something where I would, but again, I was drawn to, and maybe this is a flaw of mine, but I was a fan of the show first, and I was drawn to it because I'm kind of like-minded. I like a lot of what Kirk does. I think he's a talented guy, and I agree with a lot of his opinions. So, let me ask you this: what do you think people want to see me go at him more on? Is it political or topical issues?
When he's one of in those moods, he's a moody guy. He can flip very easily. Jerry used to call him out for that often. Yeah. Is that when he? Yeah, could you see yourself doing that?
But I see what you're saying. I'm I'm in a different position than Jerry, that I'm a subordinate. So maybe I'm more hesitant to do that and say hey, you're being a baby or something. You know what I mean? I don't know that I'm comfortable doing that necessarily.
That's where the show's different and better than K&C. Instead of two people butting heads, you got two people joking around, laughing, and creating just funny content rather than contentious bickering for 4 hours.
I think that's also true. It's not a debate show where I have to challenge him on every issue necessarily. I think my favorite times are like today, as much as we build it as an argument between Kirk and Steve, I think it was fairly lighthearted. And that's my favorite type of shit, where we go way long on the show because we're just bullshitting about essential what comes down to nonsense. I'm sure there'll be some dispute with that term, but
like you guys were just bullshitting for, like I said, an hour and a half today about Coronado, and the funniest part of it might have been you guys making a phone call that the number was out of service.
Yes,
and it was just like everybody in the room lost it, and those are the moments that like you're probably never going to have on a K&C type show. But when you kind of are delving into random bullshit, you might just stumble upon something so stupid that it's funny.
Yeah, when there's something that those guys disagree with, like whether Louis C.K. or I'm trying to think of another, that Michelle Carter thing, that was a long time ago, but shit like that where they disagree with me, like I'll stick to my guns. I don't think I'm being a pussy with that stuff. I just don't think there are a lot of issues that come up that I'm passionate about one way that Kirk or Steve necessarily disagree with.
And I think it's okay to realize that your natural default would probably be to align with Kirk more than not to align with Kirk. I mean, I think that's only natural.
I mean, like you said, at the core, we're all fans. So you too, Mike, you were a fan. That's why we were fans of Kirk, because we're like-minded. We agree with what he has to say. That's why we're locked in for so many hours a day, because we are all like-minded. And I don't understand why the people always need to come at us and say, oh, well, group think this, group think that. You guys never agree with Kirk. You just suck his dick, yada, yada, yada. The reason I listen every day is because I agree with him.
Yeah, more often than not anyways. You don't have to agree with him on everything, and that's fine. But I'll use as a nice segue here, I'll use the Pistol Pete thing as an example. So I do genuinely agree with Kirk in that, but let's say I disagreed with him. And let's say I'm one of these guys that said, it's a free speech issue. Why can't the kid say what he wants? In an instance like that, maybe I would be hesitant to say, no, you're wrong to do this, because I think of myself as a subordinate. So maybe you're right in the sense that I wouldn't feel confident enough to be like, hey, no, you're wrong. And that's a bad example, because I think that's something that doesn't affect me directly. But, if you want to use the Madawaska thing for example, if I disagreed with that, maybe I wouldn't feel comfortable saying, no, fuck you, the way Jerry would.
Yeah, I think if you did that in that case, you would have got fired.
Of course, yeah. I can't think of the right. I can't find the Goldilocks zone of an example between those two things. But you see what I'm saying?
Mike, it's nice to have you sober for a Mike and the Minifans already.
2 weeks
20
in a row,
minutes
baby.
in. You're not blind. You're not blind drunk, so that's a good change.
I'm sober this week too. Kirk keeps calling me a fucking drug addict, so I'm sober as a judge. I haven't killed anybody today. I came here ready to go.
Are you a drug addict?
I'm not a drug addict. I smoke pot. I have anxiety.
Hey, don't we all? Come on,
I'm a bad man.
Bitching. Don't people say nice things about you on Twitter, Matt? Why do you have anxiety for? Get over it, you big baby.
Oh. I got some guy in the comments right now who fucking hates me. Matt dumbass. All he does, Matt fucking blows. Matt from Providence blows. Fuck you, Matt.
Is that a parody account of yours?
It's probably like Kelleher or something.
Oh,
fuck,
no, that was
who knows?
sorry. That was sorry, Matt. That's me on my other phone.
Ah, shit.
Okay.
Obviously.
Oh, am I
Hey,
done with that?
just about the Young Minifans. To those that say that's a freedom of speech issue, it is not. That is a respect issue,
Yeah.
and there is a line there that was crossed clearly, and I think that you folks were fortunate in the fact that he took screenshots of what he did, and this happened prior to the Young Minifans' first show dropping, and put those out there. Because
Yeah, who knows how long he could have been doing this?
yeah, and you touched on that yesterday during the show. But if his success that the feedback that he was getting from the Young Minifans show was only going to fuel that drive to do things like that, and I don't, where did that come from? Did he think, he's young? I get it. But
Yeah, I think he's just a dumb kid.
Is that going to make an impact? Is that going to impress Kirk? I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, cross the line, not speech. That's respect.
I mean, kid's an idiot. Who brags about that? And I was right on board with Kirk until Kirk, now I'm glad I know it was jokingly, threatened to dox him to like college recruits. I was real upset when he said that. And I was very happy to hear him come out and say today that was obviously a joke. But in the moment,
you really didn't know that was a joke, though. You listen to the show all the time.
I would consider myself someone who's very good at reading when Kirk's joking and when he's not. And it felt real for some reason. He just seemed so annoyed and so pissed off that
But maybe not even say a joke. Maybe an empty threat. You know what I mean? Like even if he was angry when he said it, that's not real.
I got to be honest with you, Mike. I agree with Matt because we saw the tweet from Kirk before the show started, or as he was getting into the studio yesterday, and that he was furious. And how the show started, that wasn't clear to me that was a joke either.
Really? I mean, I just can't imagine Kirk wanting to ruin the kid's fucking life over that.
Which is why I was shocked.
Well, I got to tell you, did his account go away?
I don't know. He was private anyways. Did he? Oh, you mean the Young Minifans account?
I think that's gone.
Yeah,
at least all the tweets were gone.
Now the kid did not show a lot of. He DM'd me and Steve the exact same line. He said, "Sorry to disappoint you." Period.
The kid's 17. I mean, he's just an idiot.
Very contrite, but yeah, he is a dummy. That I think it was
probably in hindsight, bringing in someone that young to do a YouTube show was a massive mistake. I know you got to do checks and everything, but I think bringing in kids, you're getting into dangerous territory.
That was a mistake on my part.
The show was good though. Like I thought it was an interesting little chat they had, bit long, but whatever. It was good enough. But yeah, I just think you're running a risk. Too many.
Yeah, that was my fault. My first. So the kid DM'd me and was like, "Hey, I'm 17. I want to do Young Minifan show." Instantly, I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That could be a different perspective. It'll be good to get younger audience involved and feel like they have a voice in the
you just
YouTube
thought
channel."
bang bang.
And I got bang bang. I never even had the thought we should look into this kid because he might be a fucking moron, and that's on me. It was a teachable moment.
And I'll sit here and I'll say the kid was a moron, but I probably can't rule out the fact that I would have done something like that when I was 17 years old.
See, I can. Me and Steve were talking about it, and Steve said something to that effect. He's like, I mean, I guess I'm glad I didn't have Twitter when I was 17. And I was like, I wouldn't have done that. But I wouldn't have gone to a private person and called her a bitch and said, fuck you.
I can see why at that age he might not. And I'm going to assume he's a new fan of Kirk. He's from California. He's 17 years old. There's no way he listened to Kirk on KNC.
No, he didn't.
Probably a recent listener. And so maybe he just doesn't have that feel for Kirk's sense of humor, who he views as a real enemy, who he doesn't. So maybe he just kind of went a little overboard, felt himself get a little bit of clout with his new show, and he was feeling himself hard.
That's clear, but there's also an element of now we're going too far in defining how young 17 is. Like, he is a kid, for sure. But when I was 17, I was in college. The day I started college, I was 17 years old. And I knew not to, not that she's a superior, but a place I might want to work or whatever my involvement is. I don't think I would go to a private person and DM them, fuck you, and humble your bitch ass. I can't imagine a mindset at 14, 15,
And-
16, 17 DMing that.
And-
You don't
and
think you
above-
could have
and
done
above-
that to like one of Kirk's producers if you were listening to him at that time?
No, I really don't think so. Not if I don't think so. Not if
I
I
guess
was
it
involved
probably
in
changes
that
too, I
world,
mean.
especially.
Especially
You
even
have-
though we
you
were
have-
talking about the double standard, even though once it becomes you send that to Chris Curtis, probably not a big deal.
No, it's
But-
probably a little different.
You send it to her and we got a fucking shitstorm. And now we got people sending her Smith's cheese boxes to her office.
Well,
Right.
hey, let's not go fucking overboard. She did like the tweet saying that Kirk started it or whatever they said.
Yeah, I don't necessarily blame her. I mean, there was a little bit of truth to that. Kirk has gone at her pretty hard, even though he
I
claims
thought she
to not
started
remember
it by
doing
not
so.
being very good at her job. I think that's the.
Well, I
problem,
said this.
isn't
I
it?
want to get to that in a second, but I did say this. I was talking to Justin before the show, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. We were saying, like, I made the example, like, if I, emailed Erica and started it with, "Hey, fuck you," I'd be fired. But I was talking before the show. I think if Kirk did that to Kelly Martin, he might be fired.
Like what the 17-year-old said?
If Kirk privately
It's still a
DM'd
job.
Oh, yeah.
a coworker, a female coworker, and so this is just a message to anyone who said you should let the kid have a show because it's a free speech issue. If Kirk DM'd a female coworker and said "fuck you," I'm going to humble your bitch ass, I think there would be a discussion about fire.
It's not content at that point.
Right, exactly.
Right, I agree. And just
Okay,
going
obviously.
back. Yes.
I mean,
Going back with the
Jesus.
Young Minifans, one other thing, 17, but he's also put out there that he's being actively recruited, right, to play football.
Mhm.
And you have to think in this day and age, especially when you're putting your face out there, even though you're not putting your name out there, but you're putting your face. What am I doing in all aspects of my life that could come back and haunt me as I work toward my dream of getting a scholarship?
Yeah,
And that clearly did not cross his mind.
that's
No.
so stupid.
And
of
this
him, too.
probably won't affect him. I don't imagine, unless the recruiters happen to listen to the Kirk Minihane show. But
I
you're
feel
right.
sorry
It's
for
something
the,
you should
the
think
older
about.
guy.
I would have to imagine he was bragging around his high
35-year-old
school,
guy.
like, "Oh, look at this show I have. I'm doing this show now." So I'm sure a couple people witnessed him flame out.
For sure, yeah.
I agree.
But Menners, you were saying that we were talking about Kelly Martin and how she. Were you saying that she started the feud?
Well, if she was better at a job, Kirk wouldn't have had a go at it. That's just the way it works, isn't it? Obviously, Kirk brings these things on air, and we all get to hear about it. But that was born out of some friction behind the scenes with her, the way she dealt with booking guests.
What did you guys think about my argument that I thought she should have been a little more like Matt? You said you weren't surprised that she liked the tweet or whatever. When I heard Kirk, he was very complimentary of her, and you said, "Hey, well, she's pretty tough for not good for her for not going to."
I agree. Yeah, no, he
boxes or
was.
anything.
If I was her listening to your show yesterday or whenever that conversation took place, I'd be like, okay, he has a little bit of respect for her, but I don't think that outweighs all the shit talking he did on several occasions prior to that. I mean, he really went hard at her a couple times, and although we
guess.
all know he's amplifying, I can
She
see
doesn't
why
know
someone
that
who's not
necessarily,
in the loop. Exactly. She's not one of us. She doesn't know Kirk's sense of humor and, how sarcastic he can be sometimes. So I can't really blame her.
We get it. We get the edge. We get the content. We get all of that. But to someone else whose job that is, might not see the humor in that. But the good thing about Barstool is no HR, right? There's no HR department. So
There is an HR department.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah. For many years, I don't believe there was, but I think there is now.
Dave
must have the
Portnoy is the
hands full.
president.
Yes, Dave Portnoy handles all HR issues. We have to go to his
You guys-
office, and
Did you guys watch the clip of Dave Portnoy on Tucker last night?
I sure did. What did you guys think about that?
I haven't seen it yet.
It's
It's funny.
I
It's fine. It's Portnoy-esque, but it is funny after he said, "Don't talk about government officials," that he's going on Fox News and talking about the election. I do find that a little funny.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, this is someone who I don't think about going to first for the political thoughts. But I thought he actually handled himself pretty well with Tucker, and he was kind of funny. on it. So I would definitely give it a listen, Matt. It was I thought he did okay.
Oh,
Awesome.
sure.
I'll have to do
He's
that.
good on that, and it's smart for Fox News to do because it'll bring in a younger audience. I just think it's kind of odd that they would that Portnoy would do it at all when he's like, "Don't talk politics." It just seems like a strange dynamic, but he is the boss, so he can do what he wants, I guess.
Mike, what's happening in the room when this week we've had these democratic debate chats within the show? Now I'm not going to try and tell Kirk how to do his show. Is that coming from Steve saying let's talk about the debates, or is Kirk up for it as well?
No, I think Kirk's up for it. I think when politics is the biggest story of the day, or one of the biggest stories of the day, Kirk will talk about it, especially when it's like if you watch that Bloomberg debate the other night, like that's just good television. That's something in any circuit. If someone in any realm, politics, entertainment, sports, whatever, if someone gets fucking roasted like that, I think it's going to be a subject on the show. And you'll hear times where Kirk will say, "What else do we have?" And Steve says, whatever fucking inside political story, and Kirk says, "Nah, I'm not going to do that."
Something.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I know people blame Steve for trying to slant the show politically. Unless I'm wrong, unless there's a dynamic that I'm not aware of, I think if there's a subject that comes up that Kirk doesn't want to talk about, he's not going to talk about it. And if he wants to talk about it, he's going to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever
really
forced political content. It's always when something big happens. It's never some small little story that he's
Kirk's
like, "Oh, I
good
need
with
to
it.
get this in there."
Kirk's good with it, but then Steve opens his fucking trap and just blabbers on about the Democratic Party. It's so boring. At least Kirk's having fun with it and, pointing out some, the hypocrisies
fun,
and all that stuff.
When Steve
Steve's
really
just
starts
a
to
bore.
feel himself, then you feel that cockiness come out of him, and you never know
That's
what's going to
absolutely
happen
right
next.
now.
He doesn't
That's
need a
absolutely
mic.
right now.
Will you enjoy Menners? Will you enjoy his political show next week?
I will not be watching that.
The Robinson Report. You won't watch the Robinson Report?
No. It's hard enough dealing with him on the actual podcast that I love, but why would I listen to something extra? I'm not interested in politics. I'm not interested in Steve. I'd rather watch Matt do a show. I listen to Quantum Week regularly. Cullinane's great. Anything he does apart from the Jerry Callahan show I'll watch, but Steve's just honestly boring.
And you know what? Back on Steve, with all the Coronado talk today, I think it's going to be overlooked that Steve literally said that he illegally accepted money from politicians to smear other politicians.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that did get overshadowed.
That's unbelievable. And he's like, "Oh, statute of limitations is up." I would have to, imagine the statute of limitations is probably 10 years on something like political corruption and whatever that may be. So, he might want to keep it quiet from here on out.
Well, I'm sure Steve was working on a tweet to send out to correct whatever you just said there, Matt.
Right. And I've looked for the sleuth. There's no remnants left online of the DC sleuth.
Well, he's like Winston Wolfe. He's a cleaner of sort. He does a good job scrubbing everything. Well, before I tell you guys about the Kirk Minihane Show Discord, we didn't wrap up the discussion. What do you think? Coronado, you want to go? What are we looking at?
It'll be hard. It'll be hard to make it there. I mean, $1,000 weekend if you fly. Probably need to take 3 or 4 vacation days if you drive. So it's going to be a tough one. But I'm sure the minimum amount of the tickets you sell will all sell out. That wouldn't surprise me.
No, that would not surprise me.
Didi and I would try to find a way to make it work. We'd probably maybe turn that into a family vacation and then pawn off our kids on someone else in the local neighborhood of wherever we end up.
Poor family.
Right?
If it's that far away, I'd really consider like renting an RV with a couple people or, making the
Dale
drive.
there, but it's a real cat.
I asked Kirk in the Discord AMA yesterday if he would be in support of like a KMS sponsored tour bus, because I know there's a lot of cost, liability, different things that come with it. And his response, of course, no one's looked into it yet, but he said sure. So that might be something where you would have the bus ticket plus the cost of the show all included, get you out there and get you back.
There you go. I do have one. I have
train, all on a train together.
Essentially, really going to need a designated survivor for that one, because if that bus goes over, then we can't be losing all the Minifans.
I do have
Might
one
be
more
all of them.
question as far as the pitches go for the 46 states. But first, I want to tell you about my friends that I'm sure you already know about. The Kirk Minihane Show Discord. Listen, it was brought up on the show today that they all hate me. Not all of them, because they're paying me money. So fuck you guys. Go to the Kirk Minihane Show Discord. Check it out. They have AMAs. I've done an AMA on there. Steve has done one there, at least. Kirk does one there every Thursday, I think he said today. So if you want direct contact to Kirk Minihane, go to the Kirk Minihane Show Discord. Over 2,000 Minifans having discussions there every single day. Is that right? Holy shit, 2,000. Jesus. So make sure you support the Kirk Minihane Show Discord. Listen, as much as they might hate me, they're guys that support the world. So make sure you support them as well. Go to the Kirk Minihane Show Discord. Justin, what did you say that was? KMSDiscord.com/join. If you're not already on there, quite frankly, it might have been a waste of money because I think everyone that watches this is actually no. If there's 2,000, we have more. So if you're listening to this, make sure you go to the Kirk Minihane Show Discord. Guys, the guys in the Kirk Minihane Show Discord really hate me. That's bullshit. I'm doing ads for them in a while.
But yeah,
no, I've said
as far as
they are more than welcome to hate me if that's the case. My thought on that has always been the reason I'm not in there is because they should be allowed to hate me. They should be allowed to say whatever the fuck they want about me without me going, oh no, they didn't like me today. I wasn't funny today. What am I gonna do? I've got enough fucking issues that I don't need to be rehashing everything. So they can what was that, sir?
Your fruitcake. I mean, I'm still yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't want to rehash all this, but I don't know how you let it get so bad in Madawaska, Mike.
I know.
It's very troubling. Very troubling.
Yes, I understand. But I'm working on it. I'm 13 days sober now, I believe. So
there you go.
I'm working on it, and I'm dieting as Matt. Yeah, everyone. You know what? I got to say this though, you pricks. As much as everyone said the problem, and this is essentially focused on Matt Coronado. Oh, the problem is you need to get your eyes checked. Well, I went to the fucking eye doctor yesterday, and it was the same appointment I've had 75 times in my life.
No, but it's
they go,
a
hey,
symbol.
follow my finger. Look at the
it's
screen.
A symbol of how down on yourself you are. You won't take yourself to a doctor about your eyes. That's really what it is.
It was like you had given up.
You can drink, Mike. You can drink. Just don't drink when you're fucking performing. Like you're doing a show on YouTube. You're doing a show in front of people. Don't drink, because my thing is you're blind already, so you've got one sense down. Don't impair your other senses, and so you're blind. You're drunk. I mean, I just think it was a big mistake in your
I would agree with that. No one's mentioned that to me yet. But I think you're right on the money. It was. But I
only really care about the fact that it took the attention away from Steve. Like,
I understand. Yes, I
apologize for
that.
Man.
You know, I saw the footage of him bumbling around trying to get the sound to work at the beginning of the show from some Periscope, and I was like, yes, Stevie's going to fuck this up. Yes. There you go. I did an SC pump. And the only call out was drunk Mike, not Steve driving 10 hours and almost fucking up the sound.
Well, quite frankly, I wish that's what
him. You would have loved to see Steve messing with the sound in Madawaska. He was in such a panic for like 10 minutes. Oh, it was beautiful.
I must admit, the last couple of weeks, I've really struggled being so far away from the center of the Kirk Minihane universe. Madawaska, obviously, but then the Wilbur, like, oh man, that's such a bummer that I might not be able to make it over. And it's really bumming me out. You have
to move out here, Metters. I don't think there's much other choice for you.
You may be.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about as far as this the 46 states thing goes, Kirk's mentioned it on the show. Obviously, he was talking to me about it before the show tonight. Are people actually like mad that Kirk is talking about this? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to how much chatter I see on Twitter where folks, not like it's overwhelming, but it just didn't seem to be a lot of love and warmth for this challenge initially. It certainly was slow going. It's getting the first few in. And, I've seen a few replies to, things that Kirk has tweeted out where folks just weren't really into this. I don't feel that way. I am totally into it. I love making these trips into towns that you've never heard of and then learning everything you can about it and just yucking it up and having a good time.
Well, you don't think we recognize your voice, obviously? Like, you think we don't recognize your voice all over these promo videos?
Okay. So, all right, I'll get into that. So, 2 nights ago, my very first one that I've ever done, never done anything like this before, was the Tennessee thing. And I put it out there, and I was like, oh, that was kind of fun. So then I did the Louisiana one. And really, a big push for me to do that was because no one had submitted anything. And we're facing 46-minute shows. And guess what? I'm in the car way too much to have 46-minute shows. So I wanted to put something in there.
And you know what? It's not too dissimilar from with the position I was in with the prank phone calls. You might remember it started extremely slow, and then one night I went and I made like 2 or 3 of them. The next day, Kirk was basically like, "Great job, everyone! Like, get the fuck going now." And it picked up the next day, and they started taking off. And at this pace, because of your little kick in the ass, I think this is probably going to be done in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, thank you for that. And, I think there might have been confusion might be the wrong word, but folks were just unsure of what Kirk was looking at in the submission, even though he stated it a couple of times on the show. So is that who's going to take the first leap? And I know people already had some things in the works, but it just kind of dragged for a couple of days without anything. And, out of that, we got Jake and Church Point yesterday. So
exactly.
I've been chatting with some other Australian Minifans who are going to lodge their videos. I've tried to explain to them we're technically not a state of the United States.
No, you're not allowed.
So you might get some Aussie videos that are going to be irrelevant. I actually want to make a pitch for Kirk to go back to sort of California and do a show in LA, like Kirk returns to LA. He left. He was never made it there. Now he's back, and he sells out a venue. I know it's not a small town, but I think Kirk in LA would be a great show.
Yeah, I mentioned this when we were trying to think of like vacation show ideas, but I think Kirk wants to do it with like his LA buddies. But I would still love to hear a show where we get some LA stories. I think that's an untapped fountain of Minihane past that people haven't heard a lot about.
I would love to go out.
There
with
was
LA
that one. When he was on the Minifans show, I think it was with me, MHB, and DEC, when he first got the gig at Barstool, he told some story about meeting Malcolm Jamal Warner from the Cosby Show, running home and getting a Cosby sweater, and then showing back up at the bar he was at drunk and like trying to introduce himself to him. It was fucking hilarious. So, and the Jason Patrick story he told on the show, like I think there's some good stuff there that the Minifans would love.
Definitely.
I agree. And lots of good venues in LA. It's halfway between Sydney and Boston.
The problem is LA's too fucking big, man. You don't understand.
You got to be somewhere out in up Northern California, out in the woods.
What's that? Obviously.
I was going to ask you, Menners, is that why LA makes sense, not only for Kirk and kind of getting back out there, but that's a much shorter trip for you, isn't it?
It is a much shorter trip for me. Thanks for pointing that out, obviously.
Important to get to, yes, thank God.
But yeah, look, that would be good. But I also think there is, because it's such a big part of Kirk's story, his LA years, and it's kind of hasn't really been mined. We could sort of, there'd be a lot of video content, Kirk showing us some of the spots he used to frequent, where he puked up on the sidewalk, where he was blackout drunk, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely something, but I don't think it fits into this competition, unfortunately, because it's just too goddamn populous.
Will he remember where he was blackout drunk? I don't know.
Friends can tell him.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you need the LA friends out there as well to tell the story.
Good point.
Other thing I wanted to get to, because I'm watching the Lady Minifans show last night, and I noticed they're one down, and I mentioned it to Justin, and he tells me that there's some sort of dispute now. So we talked about it on the show. The Team Robinson guy has retired, and now I guess he's taken his wife with him.
Good riddance.
What the fuck is going on, guys? Why do people feel the need to have these retirement ceremonies? Why can't you just come and go from the world as you please? What am I missing? What is so stressful about being a Minifan?
I mean,
I think
a lot of people feel very invested. Yeah, a lot of I feel pretty invested in it. I can't go as far as to say I would ever make a retirement, speech, but I do think there are a few certain people I would let know if I was like, hey, I got something going on, I can't be a part of it anymore. I wouldn't exactly go out there and say, oh, here's my retirement. It's been great. Back to music. I might reach out to 2 or 3 people and say, hey, I'm not going to be around anymore. Here's why, if I feel the need to tell them, and that's about it. But I'm hearing some rumors that Team Robinson has been extremely jealous of the shine his wife's been getting, and that's why he's pulling them both out of the world.
Really?
He seems to, have a pretty jealous streak to him.
Okay. So he didn't like that the lady was getting too much attention on that Lady Minifan show.
I know even up in Madawaska, he was getting very defensive and like accusing people of looking at her when they weren't looking at her and like calling them out to their face. Like, hey, man, what are you doing looking at my wife for, man?
Really? See, I didn't notice any, well, never mind. Everyone will have an answer why I didn't notice anything, but I didn't notice any confrontation up in Madawaska.
And, I hung out with Team Robinson and his
He was
wife.
a very nice guy,
Big
the little I talked to him.
She looked cute. Team Robinson's wife looked cute. Was she cute in real life?
Whoa, don't say that, Meadows. You're going to get some threats.
Why not?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Mina ladies are very attractive because...
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
they're a lovely bunch.
She was better looking than he was. What
did you guys think of the Mina Ladies show? Like we talked about it today, how there's kind of a double standard, and if we might feel more like we're much more comfortable saying the interns stink
because they do. Fucking awful.
That's right. Another bad example because they are miserably awful. But are we being too lenient on the Minifan ladies, or do you think they did a good job?
I think they did a good job. I think they come at things from a different angle.
But there's always going to be that double standard. There's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah. Obviously, your thoughts?
I think they did a great job. And look, you're going to have a different perspective. And I think that's very important, very valuable to have a different perspective. Makes you kind of think about things and maybe even have a discussion like this. Do I think that there's a little bit of a different standard? Certainly from some, but not all.
Yeah, I think there is. It's a shame. Like I said, I think they all do a great job, and I'm glad that Lauren is in there because it's someone we trust rather than some fucking psychopath. She does a good job running the show and everything. But if they sucked, I would feel less comfortable saying it, which is sad. That's kind of it's basically what society has done to us. It's every time someone's critical of a woman, there's huge backlash against them. So now, if someone actually does suck, you're almost afraid to say it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Sure.
Yeah, just back to the couple that Big Steve Grippy and her husband. I don't know if you remember, but she said they were fans of Steve Robinson from Howie days, and that's how they found the Kirk show. So, they're obviously fucking whacked anyway to, be fans of Steve. So, it's no great loss in that sense. But yeah, I think there is a double standard. I will say the Mina ladies, but they should get it easy. We're bringing in, these people asking them to do a show.
True.
I think that's fair enough, and they haven't. Both shows have been really listenable.
Yeah,
so,
they do a good job.
If they didn't have tits, would we watch? Probably not. But
I would, ladies. Don't you worry.
That's not nice,
I'm
manners.
just stirring.
See how we all jump to their defense? Hey, you knock it off, pal. You be nice to them.
If they did it topless, a lot more people would watch, though.
Hey, Justin has tits too, and no one watches that show. So.
Just stirring. They brought it up.
Mike's got tits.
Did you say Justin? Oh, you did? I honestly didn't hear you. He said me and Will have tits too.
Manners, I'll say this. Up in Madawaska with Team Robinson, hung out with them, had a good time with them, actually even gave him my phone to prank call Dee Dee with later in the evening. So I didn't see any of the stuff that Matt referenced. And I was surprised to see that, matter of fact, I missed his tweet announcement that he was retiring.
You didn't miss anything.
And then it was talked about on the show, and I DM'd him, and then I haven't heard back.
Well,
he's out, man.
He's a nice guy.
Good.
He's a nice guy. It's a damn
shame.
He's
listening to the Howie Carr show and stuff right now. Good on him.
Well, that makes you question a lot of his judgment. But speaking of the YouTube channel, the Mincel show, we teased a little bit. Did you guys hear that idea, and what do you think of it?
I like it. I think
it seems like a smart idea. I think it brings in. So if you missed it, it's a show with people who are new to the program, at least since Kirk came to Barstool. So they don't know the WEI days. So what they're doing is going through old clips of Kirk on WEI, or maybe Enough About Me, or maybe even at some point his old stuff, like his Barstool appearances when he was at EEI or whatever. Going through them and kind of reacting to them and breaking them down, which I think is an interesting idea. It's finally something on the YouTube channel that isn't, hey, so this happened this week. So I'm glad someone is more original than me on the channel. It's nice. But I think it's a good idea. I hope it does well.
Yeah, I think it should. I mean, I know I'm not a mincel, but I'll probably watch it just because I always enjoy hearing some of the older clips of Kirk.
Is KFC hosting it?
Yes, it's going to be.
Yeah, thought so.
It's going to be KFC and Big Cat. They're going through all of his WEI clips. Obviously, as a guy that you listened way back to the EI days, right?
Starting in 2014. So yes.
So would you like something like this as someone who's already heard all those clips?
Twofold. One, it's always great to go back and to hear some of those clips, but it'll also be interesting to see, their perspective on breaking down those old clips, compared to, when I first heard them, or when Kirk has maybe referenced them and talked about them, and how they break things down and how it varies. That'll be interesting as much as going back and listening and hearing those clips again.
All right. I just have one more topic for you guys, and then I wanted to turn the floor over to both you and the chat and see if there's anything else we can get to. But first, I do want to remind you to go to Peak Image Medspa, my friends at peakimagemedspa.com. Remember, you want this disgustingness right here sucked out. They kill your fat cells, couple quick injections, no surgery. Go to peakimagemedspa.com. They've got locations in Boston, Kenmore Square, and Braintree, Massachusetts. It's split in Braintree. So if you're in the Massachusetts area, make sure you tighten up that jawline, get some Brotox or Botox, whatever you need. You can see what else they've got at peakimagemedspa.com. So check them out. Go to the KMS Discord as well. KMSDiscord.com/join to get in on the chat. If you listen to the show and you're not familiar with the Discord, make sure you get involved there because it's a nonstop chat. Boys, my last question. It's ironic
you're advertising somewhere called Peak Image.
Now, why is that, Manners?
Well, you work it out.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Fuck you. I always thought I don't like when you turn on me, Menners. You're a Mike guy. You're an anti-Steve guy.
I'm a Mike guy. I'm
Let's
team
stay
Mike.
united here, for Christ's sake. It's the only reason I have you on this show.
I have some bitterness after Madawaska. That's all.
I understand. My last question for you guys is, what should I do with the format of this show? Last couple weeks, it's been an hour. Last week was kind of the same as this, where it's an hour with the same guests all the way through. Menders had an interesting idea where I keep it 2 hours, but I have 3 different groups, 40, 40, 40. There's the old way where I do 2 hours with groups of 3. Matt, you're on the show every week pretty much. How do you like it?
I mean, I'm actually coming around to the 1 hour. I feel like before it would get a bit repetitive when you have the first group in and you talk about one set of topics.
Yeah.
Bring the second group in and you rehash it all over again.
Sometimes, yeah.
And even as a guest, it would sometimes feel weird because you're coming on to talk about a topic for the second time, and some stuff that you maybe wanted to say, it's like, well, they literally just said that for 10 minutes. So then you kind of get stuck and don't really have much to talk about.
Obviously, Manners, go ahead.
Well, I just think that for these kind of discussions, 3 people end up working better than 4, because when you've got 4 people, and we've seen it already in this show, we're kind of all trying to jump in, but
sure.
You might talk about a topic, and by the time it gets to the 4th person, it's like, are they going to just repeat what's already said, or do they have any new takes, or things have moved on? So you got to go back and say, I want to go back to the beginning of the conversation. Whereas if you have 3 people, I think and I've had some experience in this, you tend to get a conversation that flows more, and you could just make it more fast paced. Get 2 people on, bang, bang, bang. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, goodbye, next 2 in. And even if it was an hour and a half an hour each, I just think, it would flow better, the conversations, rather than kind of going around a whole round table of 4 people.
You think 3 segments though will get repetitive? I feel like it will. Maybe something like 2 45-minute segments, 2 half-hour segments, something along those lines. Keep it fresh, keep it quick.
It's a good idea.
Obviously, with the 3 people.
Yeah, you're around to the 4th person here, so obviously I'm going to agree with Menners. And I didn't say obviously for a joke. I'm sorry. I
get it. It's fine. It's fine. I'll allow it.
But I listen. I've watched all the shows, and I'll watch. Whether it's 1 hour or 2 hours. I could certainly see paring down to the 1 hour mark to be better. I do like the idea of maybe having 2 people on with yourself and zipping through the topics much quicker. And, if you run over a half hour on the first one and the second one, so be it. But I'd top it off at an hour and a half.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about an hour is right now, I mean, it seems like we're kind of winding down, but if we get into a discussion here in the last 10 minutes or whatever, and it ends up going 40, we can just do that. Whereas if we do that at the end of a second hour, it feels like, holy fuck, now who's even listening at this point? So I get that. Maybe I'll switch to an hour. I'll try maybe a week Menner's Way. Well, the original idea was that it was only going to be an hour and a half. And the first episode, we just went 2 hours naturally. So for whatever reason,
I felt monologues, Mike.
Yes, because of that. So for whatever, I've been better the last couple of weeks. I haven't been monologuing.
Do you think? Yeah, you think that could have been the booze? You just kind of ramble on.
No, I've consciously tried because I've gotten enough criticism.
Sign from Providence.
Yeah. No, I have tried though because I've heard that enough that I was like, all right, I'll try and stay quiet on my own fucking show, you assholes.
Hey, is Will alive, Mike? How's Will doing?
I certainly hope
Will's not the one we have to worry about.
Why?
Because Justin's the one who wanted to kill himself.
Well, either of them could.
Sounded like he got that one.
I mean, Will attacked me on the Minturns show. An uncalled for attack.
What's his beef with you?
Well, you obviously missed this whole Twitter thing, but he attacked me on the show. I went back at him, and then he starts sending me direct messages saying,
"Oh yes,
he's only joking. I really like you." Blah 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 blah. So that's like a free hit or a fastball down the middle for the.
He's a strange guy.
Well,
listen, Menes. Will is in ketosis. Leave him alone. All right.
What's that?
It's his diet.
He's on the keto diet.
You haven't seen how slim he looks after his 48 hours of not eating like a jackass.
He tweeted a video. He tweeted a video today saying, "So day 2 of ketosis, people are coming up to me saying you look so much thinner."
Which how many pounds are you down, Mike?
3 this morning.
I got you beat. I'm at 4 already.
Well, listen to this.
I'm gonna crush
I don't know if I buy it. I don't know if I buy it. Obviously, go ahead. How much have you lost?
Yeah, I knew this was going to come up, and Mike and I talked about this before the show. I too am doing the whole deep body cleanse, just the water, cayenne, lemon, maple syrup drink. Master cleanse, thank you. And I am going to be at the 72-hour mark at 11 o'clock tonight. And since the weigh-in, and I'm not lying, 9 pounds.
He's got to be the leader in the clubhouse right now, I would think. Although there's some big boys. I gotta say, for all the fucking fat jokes I get, I'm certain someone has called me fat on Twitter that messaged me a video of them weighing in at over 300 pounds. I would guarantee it. There are a lot of big boppers in this Minifan crew.
I didn't have that much to lose. Go ahead, obviously.
No, you're a thinner guy, right, Matt?
He's in good shape. I was surprised to see that you were.
I plan on getting. I'm gonna look like Chris Curtis with hair when this is all said and done. I'm going all out, and I'm gonna look unhealthy. Get ready for it. You're gonna be like, "Who's that guy?" Skeleton.
I like that.
Okay.
Shredded look for the Wilbur. We'll all be looking good. That's the plan.
Well, I will tell you this. When I stepped on the scale, I started at a lot, and then whatever you have in your mind, add 25 pounds to it. And that's where I was at. So I was way up there, embarrassingly so. Matter of fact, I think at the end of the video that I sent in to you, Mike, I think my youngest son was watching me while the other taped it. And he said, wow, that's impressive.
It's not creepy at all as I watch obviously weigh himself in front of his children. I'm pausing it to make sure he's not cheating. And my girlfriend is just looking over at me like, the fuck are you doing? What is wrong with you? This is your life now?
Right. Which I got a kick up. I think you sent out a tweet at something like going through all of and I got a kick out of that because I could just sit here and imagine you.
Hold on a second here. I think obviously is cheating, baby. Hold on. I'll be in bed in a minute. But first I've got to crack this case. Is obviously weighing himself down here. No, that was all fat. That was all fat under that shirt. Honest.
Somebody's gonna lose like 75 pounds, right?
Yes,
that would be unbelievable. I can't wait.
That's the goal. So
I'm really happy for whoever does that.
I'll say this to all of you guys if you're participating. Obviously, I think it could be funny because you've got kids and your wife is doing it as well, right?
Yes.
So what I would say to you guys or anyone else listening, start making videos because we're gonna do the Life Loser show here on YouTube. It'll be hosted by Latino Kirk, and I believe he's gonna have a co-host with him as well, who I'm not sure if anyone knows, but we're gonna try and make it like a Biggest Loser parody kind of a thing. So send any whether you're serious or fucking around, send any inspirational videos or messages you have, or your workouts, or your struggle through this weight loss, or even nice stories. Like someone sent me an honest story that listening to Kirk helped him lose like 75 pounds or something ridiculous. So like shit like that we'll even read on the show. If it's a genuine story or if you're just kidding around, send that to lifeloserchallenge@gmail.com. Along with, obviously, start sending weekly weigh-ins, as I think you know, because we'll update the leaderboard as well. We've got a whole 130 Minifans have checked in. So we'll have a whole leaderboard and everything like that. So make sure you do that. All right. Do you guys have any topics you want to – and the chat start firing away as well. But do you guys have any topics you want to get to before we get out?
I got one thing.
Go ahead.
Especially having Menners on, it's actually kind of perfect. Have you heard this whole Caden Bales story going on right now?
No.
It was a kid with dwarfism
yes.
from Australia who I
yeah.
guess was bullied and suicidal because of the bullying, and his mom posted a video online, and it's getting millions upon millions of views. Every celebrity's reaching out. GoFundMe's to send them to Disneyland. But now there are reports coming out that he might actually be 18 years old, and it's all like a big hoax.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know anything about that, Menners? Is that kid really 18, or is he 9, or have you heard anything like that over there?
No, I've only heard all the nice stories about it. I haven't heard whether he's making that up or not.
I hope to God it's not made up. But even if it's real, where do you guys stand on like a parent kind of filming their kid in that kind of vulnerable situation?
I hate parents filming their kids at all. I hate the idea of putting your kids on Facebook, anything like that. It's just they're not consenting to it. In 15 years, they might grow up and say, like, why the fuck are all my pictures out there for the public?
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's all out there for any fucking creep like Latino Kirk to go find your kids on Facebook and think God knows what.
I'm not going to support that narrative. Latino Kirk is my new favorite Minifan.
He's a great man.
He is my favorite Minifan right now.
He's a great man.
Even if he isn't a Cuban.
Yes, I don't know what his ethnicity is, but I was with him today. He's a very nice guy.
That was a joke, and Latino Kirk hopefully knows
that. We understand, Menners. He's an all right guy. He gets it. Oh, you know what we didn't play is something Matt brought up.
Wasn't me, but I'll take it.
I meant obviously, whatever your name is. Bring up that Florentine clip, Justin. Do you have it? Totally forgot about that. So the Florentine guy, when I saw Jim Murray's tweet, I thought it was just a guy who sounded like him, and Jim Murray was making a joke. I guess the Florentine guy called Felger and Maz.
Oh, yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, you be the judge, but I'm 99% sure it's him.
All right, let's play it, Justin.
All right, I promise phones. Here it is. Jim in New Jersey. Jim in New Jersey on Brady. Go ahead, Jim.
So Zolak said Brady to the Giants. Really?
Okay.
I like that one. Yeah.
Look,
If you're going to be acting like a little bitch.
Brady is great. If you took a compilation of all his stats, he'd have 2 Hall of Fame careers. Like, we get it.
Funny.
And even at 42, Mike, he's still very salubrious. But, he's not going to the Giants probably for the same reason he won't end up back with the Pats. Neither team is a quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl.
Are you a Giants fan, Jim?
Sorry.
Are you a Giants fan?
What?
I
am a Giants fan.
Do you want him as a Giants fan?
No, I don't. I want to let them, let the kid play.
So I'm going to just type that. It's amazing to me how many Giants fans, when this rumor came out from Zoe, didn't want Tom
That's
Brady.
definitely our guy.
My favorite part of that is that Felger and Maz are buying in hook, line, and sinker, and Jim Murray's just giggling to himself in the corner.
I mean, that voice, Felger has to know that's not a real voice.
I guess maybe when you're doing that, well, he's like Felger's been hosting a show for 10 years or 12 years, whatever. I guess you just hear enough voices that nothing sounds odd to you. And he's so out of it. He's so out of touch that he's not going to pick up on that really. But I will say, if for Jim Florentine, he sounded a little too lively. He was a little too into the discussion. I think he was nervous Felger was going to cut him off. He had to do a little more pause.
If you pause there, you're getting cut off and you're done.
No, I know. That was a great. The fact that he got in compilation and salubrious was very good.
Yes.
Excellent job by that guy. It's just very funny to me that Jim Murray and Jimmy Stewart on that show are like giggling to themselves while Felger has no fucking idea what's going. It's essentially becoming, and the Minifans should do more of this. And Matt and you and I would be good ones to start doing this. Felger is starting to get to be like Francesa to fuck with. Mm-hmm. Like he has no idea when he's being messed with. So maybe, even though I like Felger, maybe start doing that, Minifan. Playfully, start dropping in some prank calls to that show.
You think that could ever backfire on, it seems like Big Jim was still sitting in studio probably when he tweeted that out. Like, you think you ever have a problem with him, like, gleefully acknowledging that they just got prank called?
No, because it's harmless. And it seems like 98.5 kind of handles shit all right. At EEI, it would be fucking panic. Zarbano would be sending emails and dumping out of shit. It would be full panic.
I mean,
but
speaking of dumping
I think
out,
they're a little more relaxed.
They literally have a protocol now for dumping people out where they just blame it on the C word. We
didn't even get to that.
That's the most embarrassing thing that I've ever seen a radio company do. I mean, it's fraudulent. How can you get away? I mean, I know you can get away with it, but it's just like, how can you listen to that show and see maybe what we were posting on Twitter and continue to listen to it, knowing how disingenuous they are?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think the sad thing is knowing that we're all these worlds are so insulated now that that's never going to get to a Greg Hill fan unless you go out of your way to show them. You know what I mean? Like Greg Hill's people are still going to believe that Tim from Canton dropped a C-bomb on the air, and our people will know that it was fucking bullshit and that they're insane liars. Like the fact that they all knew. I don't know if I articulated this well on the air. I'm sure I didn't. But the fact that I wouldn't know to do that in that moment. Like if Kirk was like, "Oh, whoa, hey, what are you doing?" My instinct would be like, "What are you talking about? He didn't curse."
Right.
Like, I wouldn't know to jump into that mode.
That makes me think it's written policy or
it's gotta be.
Understood.
I've got some guy going at me on the chat. B Milner, fuck you. He's saying, telling me to fuck off. Why do I have a right for a voice? I don't think I have a right, you dickhead. I'm just on Mike and the Minifans. I can't sit here not saying anything.
Of course, you should be saying
he's just a fucking loser. Probably some idiot that likes Steve Robinson.
Or do you think it could be Steve Robinson himself?
But he's also asked me, do I like Robinson? Do I not like Robinson because he's a Republican? I'm fucking in Australia. I don't give a shit about your politics in America. You elected Donald Trump as your president. Like your political system is broken. I don't care. I don't like Steve because he looks down his nose at everyone. I hate stuck-up assholes, and he's the best example of that. And I think Kirk could do a lot better. So nothing to do with politics.
I don't know about that. That's a little crazy.
I don't think people understand why we come on the show. I know I get it all the time, and people are like, "Oh, you're clout chasing. You just want people to see you, so you go on the show."
I invite you, Matt. To be clear, I want you because you're probably the most reliable person as far as kind of bringing some, although once you didn't, but usually bringing energy and always being able to be here.
Don't get me wrong, I love coming on here, but I don't come on here for people.
I'm
to
a
see
social
me. I come on
justice
here
lawyer.
because
Fuck off, Bill the
this is the 1 hour a week that I can talk to people about this show. You know what I mean? I talk to my girlfriend about it, and she looks at me with the fucking blank stare on her face. You guys are the only ones I can come to every week and actually have a discussion about the things we care about.
That's what we're here for, boys.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to start vetting people, I guess. So it's just going to be the regulars for a while, I think. But we'll figure it out.
There's plenty of regulars, though.
There are. We've got quite the deep roster here.
I think before we let Rich Mandarin back on, we really have to dive into this stuffed animal collection and figure out what that's all about.
We got to get Rich Mandarin on for that. Absolutely.
Someone sent me a Dale Bear from the States. A really lovely Minifan has sent me one. It hasn't arrived yet, but can't wait to open
exciting.
it. Yeah.
Great.
I need the numbers on those
Bear?
sales. I got a Dale
People
Bear.
are calling me a social justice warrior. Fuck off. Honestly. Fuck off.
Is there anything in the chat worth mentioning other than B. Milner?
Actually, someone just said they need a Kirk Minihane bar for us to all go talk at. Blind Mike's, baby.
Blind Mike's is a great bar name, even though I'm a sober man now.
I've just got one question for you,
could
Michael.
be like Sammy Malone, though. You sit behind the bar,
That's right. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Mikey, one question. You asked about Tyler. Just one to the whole lot of you. I'm starting to feel like the Red Sox bashing is getting a bit old. Like, I think we've moved past that. The Red Sox sucks, and they fucked Kirk and Jerry over. But sometimes I just find that it just gets too too much. Like, okay, like just move on. Like, it's boring. Like, okay, they signed some guy that did something many years ago. The double standards are very clear, but I don't know. Just they feel irrelevant. The Red Sox.
There's also an element of
what I'll say to that is they keep stumbling. They keep stumbling over themselves.
Yeah.
All right. So you know, it wasn't that long ago when you had the clubhouse attendant, and then you have the whole Verdugo thing that happened. So I mean, it's one story after another, and it's one good story that needs to be told, and it's right in the wheelhouse for what Kirk does. If they didn't have stories like that kept coming up every week or every other week, then we probably wouldn't hear that much talk. It's just been one after another.
I mean, on the first 6-7 months of the show, the Red Sox were not even really mentioned,
right.
And they were in season at that time. So there's just an element of when something happens. Those guys fucked Kirk over pretty bad. They're assholes in general. Like the fan base doesn't like them, and they're complete hypocrites, which I think kind of lends itself to one of the themes of the show is bashing hypocrites. So when they do something like the Verdugo thing, it's kind of an obvious topic to beat the drum of why isn't anyone asking about this guy? I get, especially if you're in Australia, why do you give a fuck about the Red Sox? But I think there are a lot of people that are entertained by the idea that any organization in sports is doing something completely hypocritical and that the media just isn't covering it. I do find that interesting.
I would have to assume the Verdugo stuff is dead now unless some bombshell drops, though, right?
I mean, more or less. Yeah, unless something. Here's when it'll come up. If Verdugo says something and no one questions him on it or whatever, then it'll come up again. But yeah, I don't imagine it's going to be every single day throughout the baseball season. We tell you what Verdugo did that night and then we shit on him. I don't think that'll be the case. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's been relevant the last couple of weeks, and that's why it's been brought up.
Yes,
I'm just getting that feel he's going to be like a breakout star, and it's just.
I've been thinking that. I said that today. That wait till he's hitting 380 in May.
Yep.
And it's going to be fucking Verdugo land over at Fenway. I guarantee it.
People are saying in the chat that I'm a Red Sox fan, and that is 100% true. I was a Red Sox fan. I said that's how I found Kirk, was being into the Boston teams. But since then, I've dropped my fandom. I'm looking for a new game. Certainly, I hate the Yankees.
Thank God you don't have any chronic illnesses, or you wouldn't be able to get through them without the Red Sox.
Yeah, I'm not a Red Sox fan, so fuck off.
All right. Anything else, boys, before we skedaddle?
So just real quick. Yeah, real quick. On Sunday show that dropped Monday, Matt put out there about taking you to the eye doctor. Was there any serious consideration for you taking him up on that, or did you not think he was serious when he was putting that out there?
Matt Coronado?
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. I'm sure he would take me. I did kind of resent the idea that me not curing my disability is some sort of laziness. I didn't care for that. But no, Matt's a nice guy, and I'm sure he would have.
I resented the idea that he knows
he's worked with a lot of eye doctors.
Huh? Great producer.
Like my girlfriend is a director at an optician's office, and she couldn't tell you the first thing about eyes.
That was very funny. Like the idea that he worked near an optometrist.
when Kirk asked what he did there, and he was like, I signed leases. So you're a real estate agent? Like, it's like, buddy,
a secretary, receptionist.
Basically, if you're running the business end of that, you have no idea what's going on in the eyes. Sure, you know some terminology, but you're not a doctor.
I do like Matt, though. I think he's a good sport and a funny character.
I like him in doses.
Sure.
He definitely gets a little
that's
too
the vibe a lot of people
sometimes.
got. Although it seemed like people liked him more as on his third appearance than they did on his first. So maybe he grows on you.
Yeah. All I know is he was drinking like mudslides or something up in Madawaska. It was really strange.
He was.
Well, maybe he likes a nice treat.
We were in the freezing cold, and he's drinking iced drinks.
But Matt, he only had.
I'm not going to criticize what anyone was. I don't have the right to criticize.
I was just going to say, Matt, he only had one or two of those. So,
I get it.
I didn't have a single drink that night.
This is what I liked. I liked the idea that we planned to do an hour. We ended up going an hour and 20 or something. So maybe the hour gives us the freedom to go as long as we want, I guess.
Are you going to take questions from the chat, Mike? Because you did.
Sure. Yeah. We can do that. Go ahead. What do we got?
Where's Elton tonight?
Where's Albert tonight? So you guys want to know why? What drives me to drink in social situations? This is where I'm going after this. And keep in mind, I will be stone sober for this. I have to go to a wig party.
Sober.
I have to go to a wig party. Not the defunct political party, but apparently the theme of this party is you just wear a wig.
Are you wearing a wig?
No, I think she might have bought me one. So in that case, I will. But
why do people do these kinds of things? Like that's exactly what makes me not want to go out.
I don't know.
I had to go to a Christmas party, and it was like masquerade themed. My girl hands me like one of those Zorro masks. I was like, I'm not putting this on in front of 200 people. It can't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't make. I don't know why you can't just hang out with your good friends instead of finding reasons to have to talk to people you don't like.
Well, we need pictures of you in a wig tonight, so
all right, we'll
set yourself up.
All right, we'll get them. Don't worry. What else, Justin?
Someone who may or may not be Pistol Pete was asking, why can Kirk criticize a 17-year-old when he was stealing, quote unquote, thousands of dollars when he was 17?
Wait, Pistol Pete's really not shutting the fuck up like he was told?
Did you guys hear? Yeah. So he said, why can Kirk criticize a 17-year-old when Kirk was stealing thousands of dollars? I assume Kirk's boss at the time, if Kirk was caught doing that, Kirk's boss would have had a few words to say about it, I imagine. Not that Pistol Pete was employed, but that's kind of the relationship that the kid was doing something on Kirk's YouTube channel. So Kirk has the right as a superior in that situation to say, fuck you. I think Kirk would admit that his boss at that time would have the right to do the same thing. So if that is him, then he really is a fucking moron if he doesn't understand what he did wrong in that situation. What else we got?
Would you be interested in joining Steve's political show?
I mean, I'll do it if he. Would I be interested in joining Steve's political show? I'll happily do it if he asks me. I can't imagine why he would want me, unless it's look at how little this guy knows about politics, I guess. But anything else?
Would Alba be on the Lady Minifan show?
So Lauren Lynn asked if Alba would be on the Lady Minifan show. I talked to her about it. At first, she was kind of like, well. I wouldn't want she wouldn't want people to see her because she'd be a fucking TJ Hubbard gif 6 minutes later. So she was nervous about that, and then I think in general she just said no. So maybe she'll come around someday. I do think overall the Minifans are a good bunch that wouldn't harass her too much, but there's also an element of then her pictures everywhere and all that kind of just shit she wouldn't really want to deal with. So she seemed like no. But I don't think the door is closed forever. Pretty much it. All right, boys.
Well, I got one thing for Menners. Menners, yeah. Now that Steve made it back from Madawaska and didn't fall into the ice, any parting shots that you'd like to offer to him? Because that was a good one-liner.
Well, I've been signing off every direct message lately with just fuck Steve as my new sign off. No, look, I just hope Steve finds a job on Political Talk Radio and gets the fuck out of the Minihane universe as soon as possible.
You don't even like him on the show as an enemy, as a villain?
No, and if he has to fly some small plane into the neighboring town near Coronado, I hope the plane crashes and burns and he's gone. It'd
Thank
be
you.
Fucking relief for him and his
There's
parents.
Just no call for that kind of talk. I won't allow it on this program.
Even though I don't agree with what you just said, I enjoy the one-liner. So there you go.
All right, boys. I enjoyed this. I hope you had fun. And since it's only going to be regulars, I think we'll be seeing a lot of you gentlemen in the near future. So
cool.
Have fun, gang, and enjoy the weekend. And we'll talk to you next time here on Mike and the Minifans, Peak Image Medspa, and KMS Discord. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Have a nice night.
See you guys.
Fuck Steve.
Another tough day at work today. Steve and Kirk think I suck. Throw back a few wobbly pops, feeling down on my luck. And the interns ruin every show. But it's still where we want to go. It's Mike and the Minifans. 'Cause nobody had any better plans. You wanna be with the host can't see, it's Mike and the Minifans. And nobody's seen real MHB. This whole thing is a sham. You never see him pee, it's Mike and the Minifans.